Hey now, and how are you doing? Want to welcome you to the next episode of Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Today, my friend Doug's coming on. We're going to talk a little bit about mental wellness, about men needing to talk to other men and things like that. So I just want to say, how are you today, Doug?
I'm doing great, David. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Life's always a challenge, but it's always the opportunity to not do the same thing every day.
Absolutely. And it's every day is a great day to make it a great day.
For sure. Yeah, so I met Doug. I just want to let the audience know. I met Doug last March or March 2024, and I heard his story. And then we've got to know each other a little bit, and he has more than one story, like most of us. And each one of them, each one of his stories is so valuable, but I think they all tie together with mental wellness. Would that be right?
Absolutely.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Um, all right. Well, I'm a dad, I'm a grandfather, I'm a brother to more than just blood relatives. Uh, Uncle, love my family, entrepreneur. I've had an entrepreneurial spirit since I was a teenager. But like everybody else, I've gone through some stuff in life, some tough challenges. Some of it's beat me down. Some of it I really let beat me down for a long time.
Sure.
And there was one moment where I talked briefly about it in Nashville, where you heard a little bit, was the passing of my father. I was only 12 years old, and that there was a triggering moment for me from my life,
For sure.
and it took decades to get past it.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. Even though while I didn't have a good relationship with my own dad, I couldn't imagine what it would be like to have lost him at an young and an impressionable age. So, so what did it do to you? If you just, part of the Nashville story, because not everybody's heard your story, and I want them to at least have the foundation of what we talk about, your expertise in overcoming some of the life's challenges and our mental wellness.
It set me in a downward spiral. I didn't have any positive male role models for a while around me. When my dad passed, it tore part of me out. You know, as a boy, your first superhero was your father, and I lost my superhero
Mm,
at 12 years old. But from that, like that put me in a trajectory that was bad. I got into drugs, trying to escape it, booze. I mean, I was drunk almost every weekend as a teenager. When I started working, I was happy because now I had money for my booze and my drugs.
mm.
Walk around with a Mickey in my pouch and some weed on me and just have a good time because I could escape everything that way.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us do that where it's that self, prescription, right? It's we're feeling something, we want to feel less of that negative feeling, and that's why drinking. That's one of the biggest substances. When you start using substances to change your mindset, that's the number one thing. So why this happens to you in your life, and again, at 12 years old to do that. So when did you notice that pattern, or did you care about that pattern when you first noticed it?
Uh, I didn't really notice it till I would say probably in my maybe even into my 30s.
Mm,
I knew I was living a life that wasn't great for me. When in my teen years, my later teen years, I realized like when I met my first ex-wife, I realized that every potential relationship before that, I threw to the curb. I've had amazing, amazing girls in my teen years. I was like, nope, nothing to do with you because I'd rather go get high.
yep.
More worried about getting high. And that was me not even realizing it, but I was just sabotaging relationships, even at home with my mom, my stepdad, my siblings. I was sabotaging all the relationships because I just had something ripped apart from me. I didn't know how to cope with it, and I didn't want to have that pain come again. So subconsciously, I did everything to avoid that pain. And then
Sure.
when I met my first ex-wife, I said, you know what? No more of this avoidance. I want to have a relationship. So I'm going to stop smoking weed. I'd already quit doing the harder drugs. And the reason here's another story that she did, another layer, right? It's like an onion. We just keep opening it up. I was 17 or 18, New Year's Eve party. I went to a rave. And at the time, I was selling ecstasy to pay for my ecstasy habit.
Mm.
And I decided in my infinite teenage wisdom that I was going to do way more than I should have done. The last thing I remember that night was sitting at a table and saying, I've got to move. I've got to dance. And then when I finally sobered up enough and actually came to, I was in my sister's house with my sister and her friend over top of me, trying to do what they could because I was overdosing.
Mm. Yeah.
That moment on, I said, no more chemicals. Weed was okay though. I'll still smoke weed.
Okay,
And then,
well, we start out. I mean, as a recovery coach, that's what I always tell people is let's open the window just that crack, because if you're not open to anything other than what you're doing, it doesn't matter what you would do, what anybody's doing, no matter what their challenges are in substance. But once you have that window open, that little crack that you'd like to stop what's going on, you want to let that breath of fresh air in. It's big. I've worked with people where like, I'm not stopping drinking, but I need to stop everything else. Okay, it's a start. Great.
yeah,
And so how did that work for you?
it was good. I didn't miss those drugs at all. Even quitting weed, it was like, I was good with it. And I went from smoking roughly 7 grams a day, I was high all the time, to nothing, just boom. And I was quote unquote addicted to it or the habit of it. But then when I said, you know what, I'm done with it. This is my reason. This is why I'm quitting. I shifted my mindset. I didn't realize how powerful my mind was at that age. And I just said, I'm done. I quit.
Yeah, our minds are so powerful. But so obviously, when you quit something, no matter what it is, or you change a pattern in your life, something else has to come into it. So, did you find resources at that time, or something to supplement what you're doing? Not necessarily getting high, but what were some of the resources you found for yourself during that time?
You know what? I just enjoyed life a little bit more.
Mm.
I was with a new woman, enjoyed spending time with her, and that was the only addition for the subtraction of the weed.
Yeah, well, a good woman will always put you in sometimes trouble, but
Yeah.
a good type of trouble. But it's also re-devoting to yourself, right? It's that focus on yourself and what's important to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then well, so obviously you're feeling good and life's going great. But as we met, as we heard the story, uh, things became less good yet again, because that's what happens in life, right? We go through ebbs and flows, and learning how to manage that to make sure that the highs aren't as high and the lows aren't as low. That's where we always get into trouble, when we get the lows. So how'd you manage that?
I didn't at first. I kind of coasted through it, and then in 2014, I hit my lowest of lows. And as you heard the story, I was standing on the edge of a roof. I had my second divorce was in the process. After my second divorce, after that marriage failed, I had this great idea to enter into a relationship with my high school sweetheart, and things didn't go well for us in high school, but I'm sure they'll go well now as adults, right? And it didn't. The relationship ended. Things went sour, and I realized how hurt I was and how much healing I need to do because I had gotten so low. And I'm grateful for all those bad relationships because yes, it added to it, but it gave me strength. It gave me ways to work through it. And when I hit that low and I had that point where I thought about, hey, there's only one way out of all this pain, the pain of losing my father was an anchor point for me to make sure that I was an anchor point for my kids.
Mm,
No matter how much we think we're messing up our kids, or how much as a parent we always feel, or 99% of parents feel, that we want to do more for our kids.
yeah.
And being here and being present for them is way better than stepping off that ledge would have been.
Yeah, that's one of those things, as you're mentioning it, that's sort of where I was also. I was, and not having the experience of losing my father. I was like, I felt that I was causing more problems than I was solving, and that they would be better without me. And then, I've now had those conversations. It's 5 years out. I've had those conversations with them and built more memories, including like these podcasts, showing them what really resilience looks like. Not only just saying I'm better, but showing them what we're better. And I think that's a great picture for all of our kids to see that or admit our lows. That, I mean, it's got to be scary, maybe not being on the roof because that's the type of profession you were in. For me, it would be a little bit more scary. I don't like heights. But it still is that thinking of all I have to do is go one step and the pain might stop, but that doesn't stop the story.
That's right. And I heard a great saying, and suicide doesn't stop the pain. It multiplies it and passes it on.
Yeah,
And I remember I lost a relative to suicide. We were kind of close. And I remember hearing another relative saying how selfish she was. And there's a whole backstory to it. But when my relative said that he was selfish, I thought about it. And I was like, yes and no.
correct. Right.
We don't know what he was going through. So now you're being selfish.
Right. We judge very quickly as a society, and I mean that's why when I went through my challenge, I wrote letters to 50 people, who explaining to them there was nothing. This was a choice. This wasn't something that happened. It was made by some of the circumstances, but the circumstances were not the pushing point, right? So the pushing point was that I wasn't aware of what was perceived as I was damaging people, and that's the last thing I ever wanted to do. I wasn't trying to do that, and that was the overwhelmness, and I didn't want to do any more damage, right? So moving forward, that was my thinking, and while my thinking was completely wrong, and that's why we need to have mentors, brothers, and of either blood or like you and I, just of meeting together and where you can provide that safe space. That's where we need to talk to people. I didn't realize that as much then that I do now. And now that's why when somebody says, "Hey Dave, what's going on?" I ask the next question, "Do you really want to know?" And which generally means I'm not feeling great today. Because then I'll tell you, "Hey, I'm not feeling great. I'm okay. I'm not in a dangerous position, but I just want you to let you know, I might be a little bit more sensitive. I might be a little bit whatever." And I think that's really powerful when we can say that as a society. "Hey, Doug, how you doing?" And you're like, "I'm not feeling great, Dave. Could I talk to you?" And having that safe space.
Yeah, that's very powerful. And it's sad that it's not more commonplace.
Yep.
I had asked another brother, I asked him like, "How are you doing?" And don't give me the surface level crap.
Right.
Like, really, how are you doing? Because if we watch people, we can sense, we can see what they're going through and have an idea. When once we learn ourselves and we go through it, we have a bit more of a sensory acuity to it where we can pick up on it and just be there for that, be that beacon for them.
Yep. No, 100%. And that's where having those conversations, or where, like you and I reach out offline, everything's not about online, by saying, "Hey, are you okay? Are you really okay? Or how can I support you in best?" So now let's just go continue the story, because I want to hear about the resources and the healing that you've done and the healing that you bring for others. So you're on the edge. You're literally on the edge or the ledge. And what was going through your mind? What made you not do it?
It was the feeling of the moment of losing my father.
Ah,
the years of saying, I wish my dad was here. I wish I
Mm,
could ask my dad. I wish my dad could help me do this. I wonder what my life would be if my dad was still here.
mm,
And those were the thoughts was like, I can't do that to my kids.
mm.
When my time comes, my time comes. There's nothing I can do about that. But there was something in that moment I could do. And I had the power within me to make that choice. So I did step back from the ledge. Now, there was part of me that did go off that roof that day,
Mm.
but
Okay.
it didn't jump. I threw it off because it was like a cancer eating away at me. And it
Sure.
needed to go. I needed to get rid of that part of me, cut it off, be done with it, and move forward and rebuild.
Yeah. I understand that, growing up, and I've mentioned this here on the podcast, I had a nickname called Kid Ego. And as you know, as you eventually probably also felt, uh, Kid Ego died the day that I attempted suicide. I mean, I tried 3 times, in various ways. But when you have to sit with your kids, and you can exactly feel what I'm feeling, is when you have to sit with your kids and tell them what you did and that you're not going to do it again and all that stuff. That is an ego time. That is completely, you know, kicking the balls type time really hard. I mean, I had to have that conversation in front of my ex-wife, in front of their mom, and um, you know, definitely was not conversations I ever wanted to have with my kids or in front of my ex. There's so many pieces of it, but I did. And that's the really important part is you did face what you needed to face. How'd you do that?
It took a lot of work,
Yeah, sure.
a lot. I didn't have the mentors or guides that I've found now. Um, I still felt kind of alone in the process of
Sure.
trying to recover. And one of the first things I did is I started looking at how I was living my life. What was I doing on a daily basis that was having a negative effect on me? I had recently quit smoking. I was smoking almost on average 40 cigarettes a day,
Wow.
and I quit that, and that was another toxin that was gone. So I started looking at what I was doing on a daily basis. What was I putting into my body physically, mentally, emotionally, sensory, like through my ears, eyes, all the different ways I was inputting things into my body and my mind. And I started to eliminate things that were negative.
Mm,
We talk about, you'll hear it all the time. You'll hear people talk about morning routines, how powerful they are. And some people say, yeah, that's bull crap. You don't need a good morning routine. Well, a good morning routine isn't going to make or break your day, but a bad morning routine will.
for sure. Yeah, that's great.
So when you eliminate it and then you create the good one, it's not just about saying, okay, well, this is going to make or break my day, but it's going to set you up in a better way. It's like the positive mindset,
Hmm.
having a positive mindset. Some people are very confused about what it means. Having a positive mindset isn't going to take away all your problems,
Right.
but it's going to put you in a better and more resourceful state to deal with any problems that come up.
Right. I talk about that all the time. You have to deal with tomorrow's problems, you have to prepare today.
Yeah,
Because if you don't clean up some of the background stuff, you don't clean the triggers in my life and things like that, then you're not prepared when things really hit you, when the storms really come, right? If you don't batten down the hatches when the sun is out, when you're in the middle of a storm, it might be too late to do that. So how did you start building this? I know you also are like a Robbins Medina's trainer. You've gone through some of those programs.
yeah. I became a certified coach through Tony Robbins and Chloe Madonis.
Who does?
Um, Ironically, I actually talked about this recently an event here locally. In 2020, when I was doing my certification course, I'd made a commitment to myself, to my family, to my employees, to those I connect with, everybody I connect with on a daily basis, that I was going to take the next level to be a better person.
Mm,
And not only that, I was going to take what I've gone through in my life, plus what I could learn through this certification program to help others live their fullest life.
sure.
And there was a point where it was one day and I was working away with my guys, and we're working on a roof, and the money was amazing. We were crushing it. They, I just saw dollar signs. You know the cartoons when you're a kid where you see the cartoon, the dollar signs start rolling in the eyes?
Sure.
That's what I was seeing. And I was supposed to leave early that day to come home and do a training, a live Q&A call, and practice training another coach. I'd coach them, they'd coach me. We get some practice, connect, build some rapport. But instead, I said, you know what? I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay with my guys because we're making lots of money today. Screw this other stuff. I've done enough work. I'm good enough. If you believe in the universe giving you a smack or a sign, whether it be God, Allah, Jah, whoever you believe in, even if you're an atheist, you still believe in something. But you ever believe that signs are present? I got God smacked that day. I left the job site. It was an hour and a half to get home. I was like, I'm cool with that because I've got an hour and a half now to plan how I'm going to put the coaching away, not even worry about that anymore. I've done enough of my personal development. I'm just going to focus on my roofing business because I can make a lot of money doing that. I got an hour and a half to think about it. 2 minutes into the drive, it hit me like a Mack truck, but it wasn't a Mack. It was a Peterbilt
Mm.
hauling 40 to 50 tons of gravel, ran a red light, T-boned me.
Ooh.
I blacked out. He hit the passenger side of the truck. I blacked out. When I came to, my airbags were deflating and I was going straight towards a telephone pole. I black out again. I come to, I'm up against a telephone pole. And they say in moments of despair, our true character comes out. When I came to, the cab of the truck was full of smoke, dust, I don't know what, something that your brains could say is no good. So I knew I needed to escape from that. I got out, and the old me would have been reactive because I know for a fact the guy driving that truck, he ran that red light and he crashed into me. It was his fault, all his fault. How dare he? And I
Mm.
would have gone over there and made sure he needed an ambulance. I didn't this time. I did call him an ambulance, but all the work I had been putting in started to pay off. I was more calm. I was more peaceful. I was
Mm.
able to respond instead of react. I was in a more resourceful state. Luckily, I wasn't seriously hurt. And I look at it as God was saying, hey, smarten up. You made a commitment. People are suffering. You can help them.
Mm. Yeah, it's those messages either spoken, heard from again from the universe, God, whatever affiliate you get. That's what it really comes down to. I mean, that's why during my suicide attempt, I heard a voice. It wasn't God. It was a Grandpa Mike. I've mentioned many times. He's like, no, it's not your time. Go back and teach and preach exactly this message, this mental wellness there. Heal yourself and go do it. And I'm doing it. Not because I was told, because once I was able to get out of my darkness, I know what it feels like now. I recognize within my body when I'm feeling overloaded. And when I'm feeling overloaded, I now need to take care of myself, which I hadn't done. I had been taking care of everybody. How are you doing, Doug? How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? I never asked the most important question is, Dave, how are you doing? And that was the one question that I talk about all the time is the first question my one of the doctors talked to me about was, do you love yourself? And it froze me. I didn't even believe that was an option. Like, if you would have said, do you like yourself or anything like that? But she goes, do you truly love yourself? And at that point I was still in my low period. I'd put myself into therapy and all these things. But do you love yourself? Those are pretty heavy words. And it froze me, and because it froze me, I knew the answer was no. I don't freeze now when somebody says that, but that's because you do the work. You know, uh, can you imagine going through that accident if you hadn't done the work? What might, something that was not your fault on these circumstances could have turned into a less good experience because of not being prepared, or even paying attention to the opportunity that was before you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that question the doctor asked you. I've been in events, experiences, webinars where somebody will ask a question, name three people you love the most, or name three people you trust the most. 99% of the time, people don't put their own selves on that list.
Yep.
And I asked that question in Nashville. Well, that to me, I I absolutely love that question. When I first saw it, it just blew me away. I was like, oh my God, I need to share this because the world needs to see it. And if I can share and other people share, we just keep sharing and get it out there. And that was the question of, have you ever loved somebody so much that you would do literally anything for them?
Yep.
Isn't it time to make that somebody you?
Yeah, you have to put it, and
It-
that's not selfish. You know, a lot of
no.
people turn that around and they go, "Well, that's really selfish." I'm like, no, it really goes back to that old saying about putting the air mask on yourself, because nobody takes that to the next step. When you're on the airplane, because if you don't put the air mask on, you're passing out, and then you're good for nobody. You
Yeah.
can't help anybody, and we need to take care of ourselves and talk about it. So when you're going through a bad day, it's not the end of the world, and it should never be the end of the world, which you and I both now know. That's why when people ask me, would I ever do that again or put myself, I go, no. Um, I know now, when God tells me to close my eyes will be closed. But up until that point, I'm going to try to do as much as I can do to help others, to support others, and also to live a life that supports me and I love. I don't know how old are your children?
My son is 26.
Okay. So you've
My
gone through the
daughter,
teenage.
my daughter's 16. My stepdaughter's 14. It's just,
All right, yeah. So you've gotten through the teenage years, or you're in the middle of teenage years.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. So now I have a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old, and I'm like, wow. I remember going through the teenage years with my children, and then my biological children. Like, wow, I don't know how I got through it, and I didn't. I mean, that was where my suicide attempt came through. I wasn't operating in the best way because I didn't know. Um, I didn't know the things I didn't know. I didn't know what other people were doing. That's why now I regularly go out and ask people, "What do you think of me?" And that's a really brave question. And I go, "I want the truth answer. If you think I'm an ass, I need you to tell me that, because I don't think I'm an ass. If it's something that somebody's perceiving it differently, then I want to know what I need to change." And sometimes if it's just that we disagree about politics, or something like that, that's that shouldn't be a decider, right? You're allowed your thoughts, I'm allowed my thoughts. And but the real core of who I am, and that's where I pride myself on it. And I'm sure you're a guy also high integrity, high knowledge. I mean, you're an expert now in how to manage people through that. So what do you do when somebody comes to you that maybe like a younger Doug, or younger Dave? What do you do when you see somebody like that?
Depends on the mood they're in.
Hmm, sure.
One of the biggest lessons I learned, and it's just, I love it, is meeting somebody where they're at.
Yes.
Because I made the mistake of expecting people to meet me where I want them to be or where I think they should be.
Sure.
We see potential in people and we're like, no, that's not who you are. You need to be this person. And it's, well, no, that's who I am right now.
Right.
So that was a tough one to learn. And it costs relationships, and it also provides letdown because you expect people to be a certain way. And lo and behold, they're not meeting your expectations. Um, so I try to meet them where they're at
Sure.
and, remind them you're not having a bad day. The day that transport truck hit me, it was a bad couple of seconds. It was a bad couple of hours because I was late for dinner. Like, it's not a bad day. It's not a bad life. It's a bad moment. What went well that day?
Right.
Heck,
About
I
being
woke up that
present.
morning. I was getting ready for work. I'm packing my lunch and I had one of those little yogurt containers.
Hmm.
Took it out of the fridge, put it in my cooler. It slipped out of my hand, fell and hit the floor. Split open, yogurt everywhere. I looked down. I'm like, oh man, it's going to be one of those days. Oh well, cleaned it up, went to work, and just changed my mindset about it. Instead of saying, oh, it's going to be one of those days, like, oh, that happened. That's over. That's done. Like, that was a couple of seconds.
Yeah, right. You could take that as an opportunity. Okay, that might have been the worst thing that happened to you that day is dropping the yogurt. As it
Yeah.
turned out, it didn't. But you also can celebrate that after the accident, you were able to physically get out and live life. Be back. While the car was damaged, totaled, all the things that could have led you into the negative, you decided to focus on the positive, but also appreciate. And I think that's where when people go that a toxic positivity, it's we need to appreciate it, not just say, "Hey, Doug, your life is saved," but really appreciate the opportunities that you still have and still have had after that accident. So, what has happened after that accident?
Oh man,
Thank
that's a long list.
God,
Um,
and it's going to get
I
longer, right?
yeah,
And
it is. It's never ending. I I put in the work of completing the certification course and got certified instead of procrastinating and putting it off. And when I did, they said, "Oh, you have so many attempts. You've got to get this mark. Blah blah blah. If you don't get this mark, you can't pass, but you can retake the test." I had to blow my own horn here, to my own horn. I passed on the first attempt. Um, so I got that. I was all excited about that. I hired my first coach after that.
mm,
Like officially hired a coach. I had lots of mentors growing up. Didn't realize it for a while, but I had lots of mentors in my 20s, 30s. But I hired a coach to help me get to the next level. And they did.
mm.
That's interesting because the coach I hired him to take me to XYZ without realizing that I was at A and needed to go to DEF first.
Sure.
And I had the conversation with him afterwards. I was like, man, like I hired you for that, but you did this for me.
Mm. Yeah, that's why sometimes, I mean, it really is true. If you hire the right people, you bring the right people into your life, so much more magic can happen. Uh, Sort of even just taking away the expectations.
Yeah,
Again, you are looking for XYZ and you were provided ABC, but the teacher appears when the student is ready, right?
yeah,
Now you might be working on the XYZ piece of your life or the the programs and things like that, but you still need to have the base. And that's where a lot of people don't understand there's a difference between, and that's why the coaching programs and the opportunities to work with people. I read a book, I know all these things. Like sometimes you have to take away that knowing and make sure that there's a practical piece to it. And that's why
yeah,
I ask now, as I said before, like, how am I doing? I want to always be in check. I thought I was doing really good before my suicide attempt. I didn't know it hit me like a ton of brooks of what people saw. And
yeah.
now I want to make sure, even though I'm not in that situation, that I don't get into that situation again. I don't mind. And now I build into my routines, as you mentioned earlier, not only my morning routine, but my life routine to make sure that I have time during the day for healing. I have time during the week for taking care of Dave, making sure that no matter what, I'm in those airplane moments, which is where the world is shut off for an hour or two, and it's just about me.
You got to. You got to take that time to recharge.
Sure.
It's so important because you got to reconnect with yourself. Otherwise, you lose yourself.
For sure. So what do you do now? What are some resources? So you've got the learning, right? Yeah, you're in your ashes using my talk is, you're in your ashes. You still got lost along the way, as many of us do, but now you're in that soaring piece. You got some education. You're definitely a new Doug, even though you're the same person who did all those things or experienced those things. What's some resources that you can offer up for people to at least look into, or how somebody, again, if you're sitting a Dave or a Doug across from you, what type of resources would you suggest as people?
Get into communities, connect
Hmm.
with people. That's important. You're going to notice. So I have a Facebook profile picture I use. It's not my current one, but it's wearing my signature white t-shirt, arms crossed. I'm smiling. And I actually recently made that a contact by photo on my contact for my phone. So anybody that has an iPhone as a contact of mine, they can see that picture.
Hmm.
And I've had some people that I've talked to just they're like in a great mood because they see my picture, they see me smiling, it lifts them up, they feel better because they also see the stuff I'm putting out there on Facebook and everywhere else. So that reminds them of that. And then I've had other people comment saying things that are like, they're chirping me, they're busting my chops, trying to give me a hard time, but it's just a negative. It's like they're trying to bring me down.
Right.
The wrong people.
Yeah, well,
And
we're always going to have those negative people, no matter what you do. You can give me the gold medal, and there's always going to be somebody. Well, Michael Jordan did better, or
yeah,
somebody did better, did differently. I don't like the way that you did it. Great, not my problem.
yeah,
And that's a power that we have, that
yeah,
superpower.
yeah. So it's get around the right people. And if you have those people in your life that you can't cut out, limit them as much as you can.
Mm. Sure.
Know that they're that way, that's who they are, and just say, hey, this is the person they are. This is what I know of them. Don't expect them to be somebody different.
For sure. Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, that's exactly kind of that self-awareness piece, and not worry. I guess it's also the internal is not worrying. As long as you've used your training for who you are, it doesn't matter that Dave or anybody else comes over and says, Doug, how about this? Now, if I'm being helpful and saying, have you seen this opportunity? That's something different than saying, hey, Doug, man, I don't like white shirts. Well, that's good. Then Dave, you wear your teal shirt and on your way. And
Well,
that's the power that we have, because a lot of people, I mean, I have a mullet and everything, and people give me a hard time about it. I'm like, it's my hair. Like, if you don't like it, that's okay. Then don't have a mullet.
yeah.
You
I love your mullet. I love the confidence you have in it. And I mean, I would never have a mullet because I can't grow it.
know.
But I love it. I love the uniqueness. And one of the things I learned and is I just love this power here. If you say to me, Doug, I don't like that white shirt. Okay, Dave, what is it about the white shirt that you don't like?
Right.
Why is it that you don't like it? Help me understand your perspective, your point of view. Maybe you're seeing a blind spot that I'm not seeing. So can you help me out with it? I know I'm a slob, but I'm going to drop barbecue sauce on it, guaranteed, or spill a coffee, or something's going to happen. But I asked that question.
For sure.
Why? What's your reason for it? And I'm not asking it to be a jerk or to be condescending. I'm asking because I want to understand your perspective.
That's exactly what I've done with the mullet, using that as the example is, okay, so what don't you like about it? Nobody else wears it. Okay, but that's not a good enough reason. You could still not like it because nobody else does it, but that's not a reason for me to, now if you go, well, um, the aliens are going to come to eat the people with the mullet first. Okay, maybe, that wouldn't be a valid, because I haven't seen anybody do that,
Yeah,
but that would be at least a valid reason to do that. Um, just because you're not conformed to what society believes, that's not a reason. Being that authentic self, and I guess that's sort of your white shirt, right? The thinking is part of that authentic Doug self, that I'm comfortable in a t-shirt, white shirt. It doesn't have to have color or a big print. I know who I am.
yeah. I love the fun prints. I have some shirts like that, but to me, it's brightness.
Yeah, sure.
It's shining brightness. I've been in dark days. I've had days where I hid in my house, close the curtains, turn the lights off, hide it from everybody. Why? Not anymore.
Yeah, no, I hear you, you know. So what do you do when you have those days? Because not every day is going to be a sunny day. Not every day. What are some things that you might suggest others to do when they feel that way?
I start by acknowledging it. I don't try to hide it or bury it.
Hmm.
I look it right in the eyes, like, okay, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Is there things that are causing it? Am I hungry? Did I get enough sleep? Am I stressed out? I didn't realize how hangry I get sometimes. Like, oh man, it's
Sure.
right. I look internally. What's causing this? How can I turn this around? Am I smiling? Because just smiling, just having that smile, like, it changes your mood.
100% right. Just being around that, there's a very easy shift that we can do to our body, to our brain soup, and things like that. Once we recognize all the different pieces, the power is really within ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we've gone a little longer than we wanted to, you know, trying to keep it about a half hour, but I'd love to ask you, could you give me one more gem, one more seed of knowledge that maybe we plant and it might grow in the audience or in other people, the universe, uh, how they can, what they should do. Well, and also after that, I also make sure that you give us how we can contact you and getting connection with you.
So the gem. Hmm. I want to go back to the smile. And you called it the brain soup. We are so powerful. We have so much power within us. We have the power to make somebody happy.
Sure.
Try it. Put a smile on your face. Make yourself happy. I guarantee you that you can make yourself happy because happiness is an inside job.
For sure.
It's within all of us.
I was just talking to somebody about that. That's a great gem because I was just talking to somebody and I said, you know, he's like, oh, at work, all these people are arguing with me. I go, it doesn't matter. If you could be happy with yourself, as you know, I readily talk about it. I've disconnected some of my triggers, so now when my ex-wife comes over and tries to push those, I just go, uh huh, uh-huh. I don't engage. And I know it's getting her upset, which is not good on my part, but I'm loving it. Because I know that I'm a different person. She's still trying to play the song for that she knows, and I now know what's happening. Because when we slow ourselves down, we can see the windshield that much bigger. We can see the world operating in that matrix.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. The trigger, when you bring up the trigger, it's like, oh my God, there's so much to that because the trigger is not about them. That's about you.
Right. We got to
Could,
stop. We got to take care of ourselves. How we started some of this conversation. Take care of ourselves first, then we're ready to take care of other people or be around other people.
could I add one more gem? Because you
Yeah, of
reminded
course.
me,
Yeah,
and
of course you can. Yeah.
I love it because I got a lot of feedback about it, some positive, some not so positive. I made a post about it. Not everything or everyone needs or deserves a response.
Sure.
There's stuff that's going to happen. You just walk away from it. You don't need to respond or react to everything that happens. As an example, I remember my bonus daughter. She rides horses, and she's good. She wins ribbons all the time. And
Hmm.
we're going to take pictures of her with the horse and the ribbons. So I had the ribbons clipped onto my pants, and I heard somebody over to the side of me say something to a group of people that are standing with about it. It's like,
Yeah.
why? Like, what's the person saying it? And for a moment, I got caught up, and I was like, you know what? When I see that person, I'm gonna go say something to them. I
Yep.
was like, you know what am I doing? Like, why am I thinking that? Let them live their life. I'll live my life.
Yeah. The way that other people think about us isn't really that important. It goes back to that conversation that I was asked. Do you love yourself?
Yeah,
What we think of ourselves is so important and how it resonates for other people going forward.
absolutely.
Okay. And so how can everybody contact you?
The easiest way right now is through Facebook.
Okay.
If we're not connected, if you want to search me up, I've got it set up. My profile link is coach.doug.ferrier, or you can search me up, Doug Ferrier. There's a few of us, I think, but not as many have the great beard that I have.
Right, the beard and the white shirt.
Yeah. And there's a website coming soon. It's not launched yet, but once it comes, it'll be douglasferrier.com.
Okay. Easy to go. It's like me, davidchemetsky.com. There you go.
Keep
Okay,
it
well,
simple.
go ahead.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Uh, well, thank you so much for all the knowledge, your story, and also the uplifting piece that we can overcome and recognize the things that might have been in our past can actually be uh, springboards to giving us our greater future.
You're welcome. I appreciate you having me on here. I appreciate your time and everybody that's listening and watching.
All right. And for everybody else, as always, peace and love, bring as much of that into your life, multiply it, and just keep going. And when you're bringing a bat, bring that awesome thought. Be authentic today. It's like we talked about today. It really is about showing up for yourself, and don't worry about it. Swing and hit your sweet spot. Thanks a lot. Boom.